Writing, by definition, is a process of using symbols to communicate thoughts and ideas in a readable form. But that form can vary from person to person. Some choose to write songs, some choose to write poems, some write journals, some write stories, or some people write epic adventures that opens up our imaginations to totally new worlds we could only dream of. But the bottom line is, writing has always been a way for people to express themselves in a very personal manner. Because with every single thing that you write, you will always pour out your heart and soul onto it. Welcome to another episode of the Keep Going Project podcast. I'm your host this week, Nathan, and for this episode, we will be talking about writing and how it can affect our mental health. Before we go ahead with our episode, we'll be hearing literary works from some very special guests, and they will be sharing to us how writing has helped them with their mental health.
Good day, keep going Baguio. I am Ronald, currently a student in a master's program in a university here in the north. Here is a paragraph from one of my writings. The stars had climbed the nightly firmament. They were shining in the dim lit sky. They were beautiful. All people think of the stars like that. However, could it be that the stars had written poetry for us? I see the stars as the mind of the universe. They are the exact thoughts of the cosmos. Could it be that the universe had written our stories through the stars? Could it be possible for us to know what story is being foretold about us by those balls of gas that are shining in the dark sky? Going straight to the point, writing has been an avenue to let go of the triggers or negative stimuli I get from my environment, and to forget about the frustrations I am having from experiencing my mental disorders I am diagnosed of. As the letters get carved on the paper, I feel my anxieties, diabolic thoughts, hypersensitivity, unwelcoming moods or feelings or emotions, and impulsivity go away. As if all the stuffs I mentioned ran through my veins, escape through the layers of my skin, and evaporate as if they have never been part of me. It is a form of escape in essence. Much more, it is a safe haven, and I find myself healing as I do so. For now, this is all I could say, and I hope everyone will have a very interesting day.
You live inside a box. On the outside, only a single soul would seem to fit in. But really, it isn't just another box. Inside this box, there is no exit. There is an easy way in, but the promise of a door that leads to the end is a big fat lie. As you sit there, the corners creep farther and farther apart from each other, leaving you with a lot more space to move around in. But space isn't a good thing. No, not in this box. Your senses grow bolder, and they speak in black and white. They yell far across the borders of your comforting little shack. Lines protrude, symmetries dissolve, figures morph, while shadows cast light. My name is CJ, and I am a freelance content writer. How does writing help my mental health? Well, I've been writing since I was in fourth grade, and every time I write stories or I get immersed in writing poetry, it opens up something like a safe haven for me. It opens the door to a world that only I know, only I understand, and it's really very cathartic for me because it helps me express my thoughts and it helps me express complex emotions that I would normally have difficulty expressing through speaking or through actions. It helped me appreciate the things that I can do, and it showed me that I have the capacity to create beautiful things if I put my heart and mind into it. So it saved me through the lowest points in my life. I found comfort in it, and also helped me build my self confidence, made me more self reliant, self sufficient, and more importantly, it gave me purpose. Because every time I finish a story or prose or poetry, I feel really fulfilled and I feel proud of myself.
Every person explores their own being. They are whom they are. We are inherently different, yet with so much alike, not made by our environment, but influenced all the same. I had no pick on my birth, to what family, under any circumstance. My awareness was connected to my vicinity. I'm adopted. My bio parents are unknown. I know that family is found and made, not born into. Early on I wanted to add to the world, much like anyone else. I told others about myself. I was treated differently. I had lacked the language, but knew my meaning. Instead I was told by others who I should be. I understood myself, but others did not. There was lacking language. But the closet did not fit me. I explored elsewhere. Others saw my actions, my behaviors, as rebellion. Not a cry for help, but a need for opportunities for understanding. In my pace, time and space I learned, nobody is exclusively different. I am transgender. I have social anxiety. In telling you this, I trust you with who I am. You are who you are. I am who I am. Josephine Bautista, registered psychometrician, SLU MS psychology student, and member of the Bahaghari LGBT UV Baguio organization. We live in a time where we can be empowered by our accessibilities. As a trans person, writing has been my primary avenue of expression, having lived through years of social anxiety, which is freezing during speaking. I learned to love communication, despite being poor in speaking Tagalog, thanks to more than half a decade of consistent bullying. Fear is nobody's enemy, but it lives through trauma and memories, and its impact is eased by comfort. When we write, we explore culture by understanding our communication. We communicate foremost with ourselves, leaving notes for further thinking. We can better how we speak regardless of where we're at. We can see how we thought by our writings. We learn socially. How we're socialized affects the concepts we see in our world, and we characterize our world with choosing meaning in our language. I believe our being able to describe something shows our depth and detail in understanding, whether it be people, behaviors, or events. It need not be literal, as we share imagery and concepts, our culture through communication. We all grow in language. When we share our vulnerabilities in a comfortable environment, this helps emotional development. Mental health is communicated by feelings and thoughts, thus every action is humanly understandable. Society is built upon expression. We create our own safety. From my first person perspective to your third person perspective and yours onto mine, mental health is wholesome. From emotion, communication, and expression. Communication is power. It is very familiar, yet with so much space for improvement. Our experiences matter. Our writings preserve them.
Our guest this week is a licensed psychologist who is currently a part-time clinician affiliated to PsychStart, Psychological, Academic, and Art Services. Her background in the field of psychology is mostly related to the industrial setting, such as recruitment, employee engagement, and training. She also has significant experience in the academia, having taught students from junior high school to graduate school. She is also a review lecturer for the psychometrician board exam. Her coping mechanisms include, but are not limited to, writing, reading, listening to music, and watching Korean series. And she is also the author of Between the Lines of Self-Love and Romance, a compilation of poems. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest, Ms. Myra Gahi.
Good afternoon again, Miss Myra, and thank you for always sharing your time with us here sa Keep Going Baguio.
Always.
Ayan, so I'd love to know, can you tell us more about yourself?
This is always a difficult question to answer, actually. But what I always say to people when they ask about myself, I'm a registered psychologist, I'm a registered psychometrician. But actually, if you have a more detailed answer, I would say that I would want to be an aspiring and an inspiring trainer, consultant, psychology, and author.
Mm-mm.
Since you mentioned you'd love to be an author, so how did you get started in writing?
Writing per se, actually, the entire story of how I started writing is included in my first book, which I published 2017, entitled Between the Lines of Self-Love and Romance. So it started with an elementary teacher, one of my elementary teachers, noticing how good I write essay answers or answers to essay questions sa exam. Maniwala man kayo hindi, I really like answering essay questions. Hindi ko sure kung weird yon, pero syempre, pag elementary student ka, hate na hate ng mga bata ang essay questions. Pero ako talaga, nag-enjoy ako magsulat ng sagot. Kung kunyari, 5 lines yung binigay to write an essay, i-exceed ko pa yon. So, lalagpasan ko pa yung 5 linyang yon. So, ganun ako ka-enjoy magsulat ng sagot sa essay. Prior to that, the introduction to writing grade 2. Naalala ko pa noon na nagkukulong ako sa kwarto ng pinsan ko kasi my cousin was a college student back then. Tapos meron silang manual ng literary. Parang literary subject yon. Tapos binabasa ko lang siya the entire day. Tas yung mga words na hindi ko gets, binubuksan ko sa dictionary. So I searched the meaning sa dictionary. And it was like opening myself to a new world. Tapos tinatanong ko yung mga klase ko, alam niyo ba yung word na to? Ganyan. So syempre, medyo nagkaroon ako ng ng self-confidence to know words na hindi alam ng mga klase ko. So I think that's where things started.
Do you have any specific influences?
I graduated from SAU din. I read the piece sa kwaderno and I was like, after nun, kailangan ko mag-publish nito. No matter what it takes, basta dapat may masulat ako dito. So that was the first influence. I don't remember the name, but if I see the name somewhere, maalala ko na siya yung nagsulat ng piece na yon. It was about self-love, kaya rin siguro yun yung first na title ng book ko. Kasi kahit na ang plain ng words niya, it was a short piece lang eh. Isang page lang siya. It made me realize na meron pa palang mga bagay na hindi ko alam at kailangan kong matutunan based on experience. And hindi ko na rin maalala kung nasaan yung kwaderno na copy na yon. But I think my cousin brought it to the province. But if I read that piece again, I'll remember kung paano binigyan ako ng freedom na meron pa palang ibang bagay outside ng mundo ko. Parang ganun. So, I think influence anything and everything under the sun. But basically, yung peace talaga na yun.
I like what you
Mm-mm.
said na it opens you to a lot of worlds. Ayan, so any other writing projects that you're working on right now?
Writing projects, actually, before the quarantine, I already gave the manuscript for book 2, which is entitled Between the Lines of Heartache and Hope, sa printing press. So, kaso dahil sa quarantine, I'm not sure of the progress, but I'm certain that it would come out probably this year, hopefully this year, if not early next year. So, yun yung katuloy nung book 1. I'm also working on research sana. So, besides poetry, ang weird, pero I really am excited to work on research papers. So, this is the professional side of writing, I guess. And part of my responsibility as a psychologist. So, medyo binabalanse ko yung creative and yung technical writing. So, yun yung future projects na meron tayo ngayon.
Is it okay
Mm.
to ask what would be the topics of this research sana na you
The
wanted
topics,
to focus on?
I really want to collaborate with people regarding everything. So, but I also am working on personal projects. For collaborations, I and one of my friends sa Clinic 10 sa Psych Start, we're looking on self-harm behavior sana. Pero we'll have to to still check kasi medyo sensitive yung topic. And then for personal researches, I'm really into Filipino psychology. So, kung hindi man Filipino psychology, industrial psychology. But for now, tinatarget ko muna yung mga mental health projects such as this podcast, webinars, prior to making researches. Kasi ang taas ng demand for mental health ngayon. So, nakapause muna yung mga research projects natin.
Yes, that is very true. You mentioned napakataas ng demand ngayon for mental health. Kasi I guess people are being more aware and accepting na this is very real. So, since we already mentioned na rin na the kinds of writing. So, what do you enjoy most? What type of genre do you enjoy most when it comes to writing?
In terms of genres, I started with essays, elementary, high school essays pa eh. Even college. Pero I guess dumating yung time na sobrang busy that essay writing took actually time. So I shortened them. Yung parang I summarized ideas and so I ended up with poetry. And then nung nakita ko ng poetry pala should have like a lot of meanings behind whatever you're saying compared to essay na detailed mo siyang i-explain. It gave me a challenge, I guess, na parang you'd have to mask one word with another, to use figures of speech, to experience more and translate it to paper. So I'm more at ease with poetry ngayon. Although I still go back to essays sometimes, pero mas madalas poetry.
Yes, poetry. Oh, was parang I think I feel I get you kasi poetry medyo free form. You can express yourself better. Tapos yung nga, you mentioned na how do you like mask your words kasi
yes.
Kailangan there are people who like to read between the lines of your writings and minsan wala naman actually meaning pero syempre yung literary works.
yes.
I'm sure you had like literature classes in college na parang iba yung interpretation ng prof mo pero para sa'yo parang wala lang naman sinasabi si Edgar Allan.
I have a kwento regarding that. Sinabi mo kasi na interpretation ng teacher, no?
Mm-hmm.
So the instructor wanted us to write a poem. So during that time, my classmates and my friends were prodding me to write a good poem. So I don't remember the topic eh. Time. So sabi niya gawa doon ng poem about time. Ako, ang ina-explain ko nung time na yun, I was describing the agony of students waiting for the bell, yung bell na mag-ring pag dismiss na. So yun yung dinescribe ko. But I used words like, very difficult to understand eh. Nag-google pa kami noon ng mga kagrupo ko para lang ma-stun yung professor namin.
Mga highfalutin words.
Highfalutin words. Wala lang, hindi ko sure. I wanted to challenge the instructor if he knew what he was teaching at that time. So parang, wala lang, rebelde lang kami noong time na yon. And then, he asked everyone to report in class to read the poem. Tapos parang nung kami na nagbasa, he kept silent. Sabi na, naintindihan niyo ba yung theme na dapat time, ganyan. Tapos, sabi ko, so kailangan ko po bang i-explain line per line yung pagkakasulat namin? But your piece did not explain time. Tapos he lectured us for 30 minutes. So yun yung ending ng lesson namin. So basically, yung pag-lecture niya sa amin, that was the theme of our poem. Kasi nga, inaantay lang namin yung bell na mag-ring. So that was an irony na hanggang ngayon, tinatawanan namin ng friends ko pag naalala namin. Yeah. So parang sabi ko, so in the end, I already got what I wanted. Kasi the way that he interpreted the poem was actually how we wanted him to read it. Hindi niya lang alam na gano'n na pala yung epekto sa kanya ng tula. Ayun, that was fun.
Yeah, speaking of which, na-mention na rin, effect ng poetry, it depends on a lot of factors, diba? Now, since we're already tackling na how it actually affects a person, so as someone who writes, how does it help you with your mental health?
In terms of my mental health, prior to my depression, writing recreated the moments I wanted to reminisce. So similar to how we told our stories ngayon, parang every piece of poem or every line I wrote, it was a key to a memory. So kahit hindi alam ng mga tao kung ano yung pinag-uusapan dun sa tula, para sa akin, may makikita akong phrase, alam ko na agad kung ano yung memory na tinutukoy ko. So that was how I saw writing. It was like a journal sa akin, do sinashare ko. Pero yung experience and yung memories, it was only for me. So there came a point na parang ayoko nang magsulat kasi nga I really felt that holding a pen or any writing material was like 5 kilos or 10 kilos. So yun yung effect niya sa akin. And it was very difficult kasi I believe that kung i-describe mo si Myra, it was like 50% writer, 50% psychologist, parang ganon. So pag tinanggal mo yung writer, anong naiwan? Parang nakalahati ako, parang ganon. So it felt like not being able to write removed a part of me. And when I realized it, people who wanted to read my works came and approached me. Like they sent me messages, nasa na yung book mo, ganyan. Out of nowhere. Like when I decided na sige, I'll start with a new hobby or I'll end writing na, people started to message me. They started to ask me, nasa na yung book mo? We missed reading your work, ganyan. So parang ako, ba't nga ba ako nagsusulat? And then I remember that I do not only write for myself, but I write for other people. And so right now, I'm starting to get back to writing. Although hindi pa ako yung talagang full force na writing. And I still do not recognize my handwriting. I know it's weird, but for writers, it's a very difficult thing. So, ayun. It's still a difficult process, but I think writing is my gift. And it's a gift I ought and should share to the world. So that's how I view writing.
Wow, thank you. And I love what you said na, di ba? You put like certain keywords in your poetry na it's a part of your
Yes,
memory pala. Kasi I believe na a writer pours out his soul and leaves a part of his soul at everything he writes.
definitely.
Di ba? Since nandun na rin tayo sa topic ngayon, I guess it also
Mm-mm.
becomes some kind of pressure din po siguro when it comes to writing.
Mm-mm. Pressure, you mean, sa writing?
Oo, kasi sabi mo nga, people were asking, nasa na yung next book? Does it sometimes develop into something like, oy, kailangan ko na magsulat ng next kasi hinahanap na pala ng tao?
No. What was more pressuring for me was to recognize my handwriting. It really was difficult. Actually, until now, iba yung sulat kamay ko dun sa sulat kamay ko before. So, the pressure for me is trying to regain like the confidence I had in writing, not necessarily to write something just because people want to read something. Parang ganon, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So it's like it's not relearning. It's rediscovering who I am on paper when I write. Kasi I think I'm different when I write. Parang ganon. I think it's poetic, pero I think I'm different when I write. And when you speak to me, or when I talk to someone, they see a different side. So it's rediscovering yung confidence ko na I can lay my heart on paper. As you mentioned, I can put my soul on paper again na without boundaries, without fear. Yun yung nakaka-pressure na part.
Kasi parang you had this previous standard na eto yung dati ako na I
Yes,
should be able
yes.
to write the same way as I did previously.
Oo. True.
Yeah, and I get that, Nat. I also understand when you say it na you're different when you're writing kasi writing is very intimate nga eh. Kasi
Yes.
you're pouring your heart and soul into that.
Mm-mm.
It's not normally what you do when you even talk to someone very close to you. You just
Yes.
don't pour everything into
Totoo.
di ba? Iba yung experience talaga when you're writing. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
I guess a lot of people really use writing as a coping mechanism
Mm-hmm.
to help
Definitely.
help express themselves. As a psychologist, do you often suggest your patients to try writing?
Suggest writing maybe, but for some kasi hindi siya effective. So it really depends on the client and also how I relate yung writing sa client. Pero it's not forcing them. to write something, because sometimes yung mga clients, they just need someone to talk to. So minsan hindi aabot sa level ng ma-intervention, kasi it's different eh. Consultation and intervention is different. So paminsan hanggang consultation lang, kailangan lang nila ng kausap. Intervention will be much more complicated. But in terms of including writing in the recommendations, I do that sometimes, but not necessarily always. So it still depends on the case and the person I'm talking to.
So basically, can you like,
Mm.
what does writing itself mean to you? Not just with regards to your mental health, but your whole, as I guess, as Myra. What is writing to Myra as a whole?
Mm, ano ba?
Ang
I
lalim
can't,
bigla.
oo eh. I can't, I don't think I can define how writing means to me, but if you remove writing from me, you're essentially removing me.
Oh, I get that. Kasi you mentioned din 50% writer, 50% psychologist ka. I guess that applies to a lot of people na when you take something na they're very passionate about, they're no
True.
longer the very same person that they used to be.
Yes. I like the way you highlight the word passion, because I think whether writing, kasi some they think na ano eh, writing is what do you call this, would make people rich.
Mm-hmm.
And they enter the field just because they think na publishing books kikita ka ganyan. But I think it's short-lived, short-term siya. So I agree to what you said na it's passion that keeps you building success or keeps you going towards success, and it's not just defined as financial security. It may help, but passion is the one driving you pag wala na lahat.
Mm-hmm.
It ends up fueling you if you're at the bottom. And I think that goes also for entertaining people and for everyone in the helping field or helping industry or service industry, na parang kahit na hindi naman sa hindi natin kailangan ng pera, that's ano no, medyo ipokrito naman, pero
Mm-hmm.
um drive and passion, yun pa rin yun. Pipiliin mo lahat gawin dahil lang sa passion. Passion mo for entertaining people, passion for making people happy, passion for reaching out, passion for expressing. So, nandun pa rin yun. I think it's a good thing na you pointed it out as a foundation of everything that we do.
Passion. Kasi yun nga, sabi nga, with regards to entertainment and with regards to helping, since we're all part of Keep Going Baguio, we help people not because we want recognition, not because we want
Actually.
likes, not because we want shares,
True.
but because
True though.
we truly want to help people out. Diba?
Yes.
Ayan, so do you have any specific favorite authors?
Favorite authors. Actually, any question na may word favorite, hirap akong sumagot. So, alam yan ng mga super close friends ko. In terms of favorite authors, I like J.K. Rowling. I also like Rick Riordan. In terms of classics, Jane Austen for Pride and Prejudice. There are a lot of classics I haven't read pa, and I know that those who are literary or literature majors would be like, ha, hindi niya pa nabasa to. Pero I'm taking my time because I think I would feel pressured kapag nakita ko ng sobrang gandang piece. Tapos, kasi I usually feel emotion sa mga books or sa anything na nababasa ko, actually even online. So, iniiyakan ko mga online article pag naramdaman ko, yung mga tipong ganon. So, I think kapag nakapagbasa ako ng classic, tas sobra niyang emotional roller coaster, baka mahirapan ako makarecover. So, hinihinay ko yung sarili ko sa pagbabasa ng mga classics. But, yeah, more on modern, I think. More on modern writers. Pero I like yung mga, actually better, yung mga writers or contributors sa local na publications.
Local scene.
So, yeah. I think I like them better. And I would want to inspire more people to write and to express themselves. Meron kasi yung mga iba na, I would not mention the name or names, pero meron yung iba kasi na sumisikat sila because of the marketing. But if you see the content, it's, I don't know. I have read better than this, or I wonder why they're in the top spot of whatever chart or bestseller na ganito. So, ayun.
I understand what you say na yun nga. Sometimes I ask myself that na, bakit yung parang
Mm.
isang best-selling authors, yun nga, we're not mentioning people, parang
Yeah.
tweets lang na, literally tweets na ginawang book, or like mga
Oh my God. We're on the same page.
Facebook post na ginawang libro. I guess it's also with regards to the reading comprehension sometimes of people na, I guess, in our very digital culture, mas gusto
Yes, yes.
short and straight to the point na things na
Yep.
very... Kasi I tried to... My favorite book talaga is The Catcher in the Rye by
And
J.
right. Mm.
Yes, it's my favorite book of all time. Na I tried to get people to read it, pero yun nga sa kanila, ang haba naman yan. Tapos like, but parang ang lalim, mga ganyan. It's like, and it doesn't apply to our generation. It applies to any generation actually.
Any generation.
Na,
Yeah.
they prefer na instant gratification, I should say, na easier to swallow things,
Yep.
easier to swallow books, easier to swallow information. Now, if your life was a book, what would be its title? What would be its current title and why? Tapos, what chapter do you think you are in your book right now?
If my life would be turned into a book and I really want someone to write about it, kung hindi ako magsusulat nito, pero the title would be Leaving a Legacy, a Journey of Perspectives. So yun yung magiging title niya. Leaving a Legacy, a Journey of Perspectives. I think this would be the title because I have gone from one perspective to another. I have put myself in other people's shoes. Sometimes, naiiwan ako sa sapatos na yon. So, it's been quite a journey going from traveling from one person's eyes to another, trying on different roles, different shoes, kahit di naman sa akin yon, inaangkin ko paminsan. So, the ending would still be, I would want to leave a legacy that people would be inspired from or inspired with, and that they would also want to leave their own legacy. So, yun yung title ng libro.
Since you're on a journey of perspectives, I asked na rin then, what do you think your current chapter would be titled?
Chapter title. Chapter title would be this. Medyo controversial siya, but I'm always pro creating or stirring up controversies, just to make people talk and speak. But the current chapter would be Past Society's Quarter Life. I didn't put the word crisis because it's not necessarily a crisis for everyone, but society says so. That's why I place it as Past Society's Quarter Life. I'm going through it. However, I'm going past it. I'll go past it with grace and passion. Parang ganon. Parang napaka-dramatic tuloy ng pagsagot ko ng tanong na yun.
Miss Universe na Miss
Yeah.
Universe. I love how you said that. It's not necessarily
Thank
a crisis
you.
for everyone. Na,
Mhm.
diba? Sometimes people just get into another hobby during their quarter life. It's not
Yes.
necessarily a sign of being in crisis. We're all growing as a person naman eh. It's what I'm doing right now as a 31-year-old won't be the very same thing I'm doing as a 41-year-old, or something that I love as a 51-year-old.
Here's on your own, yeah.
It changes a lot. And so since we already talked about your books, and you mentioned nga din you really love writing. Now if we took out writing, you take part of yourself. Now I'd love for you to share one of your poems, Anna, for our listeners. And if it's okay with you, maybe you can share us more about the story behind why you wrote that poem.
Okay. So, one of the poems that I was surprised na nasulat ko, it was actually for the event last year, Coexist event. And I've written this like a few days before or the day itself na. So, the title is My Depression Speaking. And the poem goes like this. I am powerful. I can make her think of everything except herself, of crossing streets, of playing with scissors without a reasonable objective, of staying away from people because she has a train wreck in her head. I can make her feel how everything is unrelated to her, the guilt over people she can no longer meet, or the things she can never have again. How everything she touches attaches to, can, and will untangle any moment she decides to focus on it. I can make her move on the bed she cannot make, in the room she hates to be in a corridor where everyone has their own business, and she is inexistent, unreliable. I can make her smile, poster style. She practices in front of the mirror or before she gets out of bed. I am puzzled at how she poses in front of a camera, as if I am not here, as if I do not exist. I can make her laugh, but you would not notice the difference. The sound, empty, pleading. I have taken the life out of her laugh. I have taken the life out of her laugh. I can make her cry, the depth of pain reflected on her pillowcase, the screams her sweaters and jackets have caught 100 times, the insecurities that only I can decode. I am powerful. She is not brave enough. Until, how dare her? She wants to stand against me? For many times she fought with me. She pushed me away, shrugged me off her shoulders, as if she can get rid of me that easy. Looking back, she has changed. I drowned all the music. I stole her handwriting. I made her feel that pens are 5 kilograms, weighing heavier the longer she carries it. I blur the colors she once loved. I had control over her. Now, I don't know what she's doing. Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. She attempts to befriend me, to hug me, to console me, to change my form. I may have creeped into areas of her life, but her voice I still cannot shake. Her values I cannot break. Her hope I cannot fake. And this is how we coexist. So, yun po yung poem entitled na My Depression Speaking.
I love that na you placed yourself in the perspective nung depression itself. Ito na tayo sa kanya-kanya interpretation. I guess it shows
Yes.
na you're finally accepting na it's a part of you talaga, and most people, I guess, with the mental illness, that's the very first step.
Yes.
Acceptance. Kasi sometimes we're always in denial na no, I don't have anything like that. I hope I'm interpreting this correctly.
Well, there's subjective interpretations, but
Yun.
this poem has been a culmination of months of heartache, of crying, of, thinking about bakit ako, psychologist ako, I'm in the field of helping, why me? Spread all over that poem. So your interpretation is actually how I want people to feel, na although it starts as something that may feel like enveloping you or making you want to hide and just stay in your cave or whatever, that eventually you have to get out of it, and that you have mentioned that you have to accept it because recognition is very important. In that, yun, kaya kami nandito as psychologists, as mental health practitioners, would be because help is available. And in line with this project, even if we're writing, whatever hobby you have there, entertaining people, dancing, music, help is available, and that we are always willing to help people who would want to help themselves.
Miss Myra, again, thank you very much for your time, sharing your passion, sharing sharing your poems, and thank you very much for always being a huge part of the mental health movement here in the Philippines, specifically here in Baguio. Thank you for always sharing your time with us here at
Thank
Keep
you.
Going Baguio.